The afternoon sun poured soft, golden light through the lace curtains of Sweet Memories Bakery, dusting the tiny shop with warmth that felt almost nostalgic. The scent of vanilla, sugar, and fresh bread lingered in the air. At a corner table near the window sat Eva Lancaster, motionless in her wheelchair, staring at the simple white cake before her. 22 candles flickered across its smooth surface, their tiny flames reflected in the sheen of her eyes. She didn't move to blow them out. There was no one to sing to her, no one to cheer when the candles dimmed. It was her birthday, and she was alone. The door chimed softly, breaking the heavy silence. A man in his early 30s stepped inside, brushing rain from his jacket, followed by a little girl clutching a small gift box wrapped in pink paper. She looked about 6, with pigtails bouncing as she chattered happily to her father. Her laughter filled the bakery like a melody that didn't belong in a place so quiet. When she spotted the young woman sitting alone with her cake, her chatter stopped. She tugged on her father's sleeve, whispering something that made him glance over. He saw the solitary figure by the window, the wheelchair, the loneliness carefully disguised in poise. His heart shifted. A quiet understanding passed between father and daughter without a word. Then gently he approached. "Excuse me?" he said softly, stopping near her table. His voice carried warmth, the kind that didn't intrude. "Would you mind if we joined you? My daughter would like to wish you a happy birthday." Ava blinked, startled. Her first instinct was to refuse. People didn't approach her like this anymore. They smiled politely from a distance or looked away quickly, unsure where to rest their eyes. But before she could answer, the little girl stepped forward, holding out her small cupcake crowned with a single star-shaped candle. "I'm Lily," she announced proudly. "This is for you. I made it with Daddy this morning. We come here every year because it's my mommy's birthday too. She's in heaven. But Daddy says she can still see us celebrate." The words were so innocent, so full of light, that they pierced through the careful walls Eva had built around her heart. Her throat tightened, a storm of emotion rising she hadn't felt in years. The man, Daniel, she would learn later, smiled gently and pulled out a chair. "I'm Daniel," he said. "That's a beautiful cake. No one should celebrate alone." Eva hesitated, then nodded. "Thank you," she whispered. Her voice came out rough, rusty from lack of use in moments that mattered. Daniel and Lily sat down, and when the child began to sing Happy Birthday in her off-key but angelic little voice, something within Ava cracked open. She closed her eyes and made a wish. For the first time in 4 years, she dared to wish for something beyond survival. She wished not to be alone. The bakery seemed to glow around them. Daniel's deep baritone joined his daughter's high soprano, and for a fleeting, perfect moment, the sound of their small trio filled the empty shop with life. When the candles finally melted into wax, Eva exhaled, and it felt like breathing for the first time. In the weeks that followed, the world she thought had stopped moving began to turn again. Eva found herself meeting Daniel and Lily often, sometimes at the bakery, sometimes at the park. She would sit on the path by the pond as Lily fed the ducks, her laughter ringing out like sunlight in sound. Daniel would bring her coffee and sit beside her, his quiet presence a comfort she hadn't known she needed. He didn't look at her chair. He looked at her. Their conversations began with the safe and familiar, books, weather, Lily's school stories, before drifting into deeper waters. Daniel told her about Sarah, the wife he'd lost during childbirth, and how grief had reshaped his world. He spoke not with bitterness, but with reverence, like a man who had learned to live beside his sorrow rather than beneath it. He described how Sarah had painted their apartment with murals of trees and sky so Lily would grow up believing the world was wide and full of beauty. How he still caught traces of her perfume in the wood shavings of his workshop. His voice would soften when he said her name, but there was peace there too, the kind born from acceptance. Eva, in turn, shared what she rarely told anyone. How the car accident had stolen not only her ability to walk, but her sense of self. How her father, Richard Lancaster, billionaire CEO of Lancaster Technologies, had turned her life into a schedule of appointments and specialists. He provided everything but presence. There were always nurses, therapists, assistants, all paid to care, but none of them filled the silence of her father's absence. His love had become something she could only measure in credit card limits and automated birthday transfers. "He doesn't look at me," she said one afternoon, her eyes on the pond. "He looks through me, like I'm a reminder of something he failed to control." Daniel didn't interrupt. He just listened, his carpenter's hands resting loosely around his coffee cup, his gaze steady and kind. "Maybe he's scared," he said quietly. "Sometimes when life breaks something we love, it's easier to pretend it isn't broken." Lily would often climb into Eva's lap mid-conversation, utterly unbothered by adult pain. She would talk about fairies and clouds, then ask in all seriousness, "Are you happy today, Miss Eva?" And Eva would find herself smiling, realizing that yes, sometimes she was. It was a strange, delicate kind of healing that unfolded between them. Daniel's laughter, Lily's endless imagination, the way they made her feel not like a fragile patient, but like a person again. Slowly, the numbness she had mistaken for peace began to thaw. Then the past came knocking, in the form of her father's shadow. Richard Lancaster had never been a man to accept what he didn't understand. The moment he learned, through household whispers and security reports, that his daughter was spending time with a working-class carpenter, he reacted the only way he knew, with control. When Ava was summoned to his study, she already sensed what awaited her. The room was sterile, walls lined with monitors streaming stock data, air perfumed with the scent of expensive leather and power. "You will cease contact with this man immediately," Richard said without looking up from his laptop. "He's using you." "What else could a man like that possibly want from someone like you?" The words sliced deep. "Someone like me?" Ava repeated softly. "You mean your broken daughter? The one who ruined your perfect life?" Richard looked up, irritation flickering into defensiveness. "I'm protecting you, Ava. You're naive. You don't see how people take advantage." "Sheltered," she cut in, her voice trembling but fierce. "No, father. Imprisoned. You've built me a golden cage and called it protection." Richard's tone hardened. "If you continue seeing him, I'll make sure he regrets it. I can destroy his business, his reputation. Don't test me." Eva stared at him, her heart pounding. He wasn't bluffing. He never bluffed. That night, with shaking fingers, she sent Daniel a text that tore her apart. "I can't see you anymore. Please don't contact me. I'm sorry." Daniel read it again and again, the words foreign and hollow. It didn't sound like her. Not the woman who had laughed with him over Lily's drawings, not the woman whose courage he admired. But he respected her choice even when it felt like breathing underwater. Lily noticed the change. She stopped singing around the house. She'd ask, "Did Miss Eva stop loving us?" And Daniel had no answer that didn't break him a little more. On the fourth day, when Lily looked up with tear-filled eyes and asked, "Is it because we're not rich?" Daniel felt something inside him harden into resolve. He couldn't let his daughter believe love was measured in money. They drove to the Lancaster mansion, a world away from their small apartment and simple life. Iron gates towered before them. A security guard blocked their path politely but firmly. "You're not on the approved list, sir." Behind the bars, the mansion loomed like a beautiful prison. Lily pressed her face against the gate and called out, her voice trembling. "Miss Eva! Miss Eva, we miss you. Please come back!" Inside, Eva heard her name through the rain. She froze. It was impossible, and yet it was unmistakably Lily's voice, bright and desperate. Without hesitation, Eva turned her wheelchair toward the window and saw them, Daniel and Lily standing in the rain, framed by the iron gate. Her heart splintered. She couldn't let them walk away believing she didn't care. Something inside her snapped, not into pieces, but back into place. Enough obedience, enough silence. It was time to choose her own life. She took the service elevator down, bypassing the main halls where her father's voice echoed through business calls. Maria, the cook who had loved her since childhood, met her at the back door. "Go, mija," Maria whispered, eyes full of understanding. "Be happy." The cold night air hit Eva's face like baptism. Rain fell harder now, drenching her as she pushed her wheelchair through the slick streets, determination burning through exhaustion. She reached Sweet Memories Bakery, breathless, soaked, trembling. Inside, the same bell that had marked their first meeting chimed as she entered. There they were, Daniel and Lily, sitting at their old table, eyes shadowed with loss. They looked up and the world righted itself. "Miss Eva!" Lily shrieked, rushing into her arms, unbothered by the rain. "I knew you'd come back. I told Daddy you love us." Daniel stood, shock melting into relief and something deeper. He took off his jacket and wrapped it around Eva's shoulders. "You're freezing," he murmured. "Why are you here?" Eva looked up at him, rain mingling with tears. "Because I'm choosing," she said. "For the first time in 4 years, I'm choosing. I choose you. I choose Lily. I choose us." Daniel knelt before her, eyes filled with worry and love. "Are you sure? He'll make things hard, Eva." "Let him try," she said fiercely. "I've already lost my legs. I won't lose my heart, too." The door crashed open, thunder rolling in behind it. Richard Lancaster stood there, rain-soaked, his fury barely contained. "Eva, enough! You're coming home. Now!" Before Eva could speak, a small figure stepped between them. Lily, her chin lifted, her voice clear. "You're mean," she said simply. "You make Miss Eva cry. My daddy says being family means being there, not just buying things. You're not being a daddy. You're being mean." The words hit Richard like bullets made of truth. He stared at this child, unafraid, pure, and something shifted. His gaze flicked to Eva, who looked back with quiet strength. She wasn't broken. She was alive, and he had missed it. "Eva," he began hoarsely. "I was only trying to—" "No," she said gently. "You were trying to fix what wasn't yours to fix. When I woke up in that hospital, I didn't need a CEO. I needed my father. I needed you to stay even when it hurt." Richard's shoulders sagged. "I didn't know how," he whispered. "When your mother died, I could build a company. When you got hurt, I couldn't build you whole again. So I worked. It was all I knew." Daniel stepped forward quietly. "You're not useless, Mr. Lancaster. You're just scared. But you still have time. She still needs you. Not your money, just you." The old man looked at the carpenter and saw for the first time a man he could respect. He sank into a chair, tears mixing with rain. "How do I come back from 4 lost years?" Eva wheeled closer, taking his hand. "One day at a time, Dad. Together." Lily's voice broke the heavy silence. "Does this mean we can all be a family now? Because I really want Miss Eva to be my mommy." Laughter burst through tears, dissolving the last remnants of pride and fear. Richard looked at his daughter, at Daniel, at Lily, and nodded. "If you'll have me," he said softly, "I'd like to try." A year later, Sweet Memories Bakery bloomed with white ribbons and fresh flowers. Ava's 23rd birthday and her wedding day. The aisle was wide enough for her wheelchair, draped in ribbons and sunflowers thanks to Lily's artistic touch. Eva wore her mother's gown, altered to flow gracefully around her chair. Richard stood beside her, hand trembling on her shoulder. "You look beautiful, sweetheart," he whispered. "Your mother would be proud." "She'd be proud of you too," Eva said. "You found your way back." When she reached Daniel, Lily stood beside him in her sunflower dress, beaming as if she'd invented happiness. The ceremony was simple, intimate, held in the same place where love had begun. Daniel's vows were quiet but sure. "Eva, you've taught me that love isn't about fixing what's broken. It's about seeing the beauty in the cracks. I promise to push your chair when you're tired, to stand beside you when you're strong, and to love you for all that you are." Eva's vows trembled through tears. "You and Lily gave me more than love." "You gave me a life. I promise to keep choosing us. Every day. Every moment." When they kissed, Lily cheered so loudly the guests laughed through tears. Even Richard smiled, a true smile, not the polite mask of a corporate man. Later, during the reception, he took the microphone. "For years I thought success meant never showing weakness," he said. "My daughter and her new family taught me that true strength comes from love. I can't undo the past, but I can promise to be present for every tomorrow." That night, under the stars, Eva rolled outside to breathe in the cool air. Daniel followed, carrying a slice of wedding cake. "No one should eat cake alone," he teased. Eva laughed softly. "Never again," she whispered. He kissed her, gentle and certain. Then his hand rested on her stomach. She blinked in surprise. "How did you—" "Lily told me," he said, smiling. "She's very proud she's going to be a big sister." Tears filled Eva's eyes. "The doctor said it might be complicated." "Then we'll face complicated together," Daniel said. "That's what we do." 6 months later, Eva gave birth to a healthy baby boy, Samuel Richard Morris. In the hospital room, laughter mingled with baby cries. Richard held his grandson with shaking hands. Lily sat beside Eva, explaining solemnly to the infant, "We're a special family. We chose each other. That's the best kind." Daniel wrapped his arm around Eva, their eyes meeting, both full of wonder. From that lonely birthday cake to this moment of fullness, they had walked a broken road that led them home. Healing hadn't been easy. There were setbacks, fears, and nights of uncertainty. But love had endured, patient and steady. And when baby Samuel wrapped his tiny hand around Eva's finger, she remembered her wish on her 22nd birthday, not to be alone. The universe had answered in its own way. It had given her more than